The hum of the void filled the bridge, that strange, almost living vibration that existed only in the silence between stars. Captain Juno Hall leaned forward in her chair, eyes fixed on the black shape drifting across the viewscreen. No running lights. No transponder. Just a mass of darkness swallowing the faint light from the nearby gas giant. The crew of the Kestrel had seen derelicts before, but never one that seemed to drink the light around it. "Range, Lieutenant," she said, keeping her tone calm, though her pulse quickened. This was supposed to be a milk-run survey, a quiet 2-week stint cataloging mineral deposits. Not, whatever this was. 17,000 clicks and closing, Captain, said Lieutenant Vega, her voice tight. Still no signal response. It's like it's absorbing radar. Juno frowned. Absorbing? Vega swallowed. Our ping isn't bouncing back. It's just gone. The bridge went still. Even the ambient hum of the ship seemed to pause. Then Chief Engineer Mara broke the silence with a dry chuckle. Well, that's new. Maybe it's shy. The joke landed like a pebble in a graveyard, but it broke the tension. Juno shot Mara a look somewhere between thanks and warning. Helm, bring us to 10,000 clicks, slow and steady. Keep thrusters minimal, don't want to spook it. The helmsman nodded, fingers dancing across the console. Outside, the Kestrel slid forward through the velvet dark. The black ship, no name, no markings, hung there like a bruise against the cosmos. Any visuals from the hull cams? Juno asked. Vega tapped a control. The viewscreen sharpened, contrast shifting. The shape came into focus, a long, narrow frame, curved like a blade, its surface rippling faintly as though it were liquid metal. No seams. No lights. Just void. Mara whistled low. That's not human. Not even close. Juno nodded slowly. No human ships built like that. Vega, run a spectrum scan. See if it's radiating anything, heat, EM, whatever. On it. The results came back seconds later, and Vega frowned at the readout. Captain, it's cold. Absolute zero cold. That shouldn't even be possible. Mara leaned in, brow furrowing. Even dead metal radiates some heat. You're telling me that thing's colder than the background radiation? Yes, Juno tapped her fingers on the armrest. She could feel the crew's unease thickening. Curiosity and dread, twined together. That was how trouble always started in deep space. All right, she said finally. Send a probe. The launch bay hissed open, and a small drone slid into the dark, its sensors flashing as it zipped toward the derelict. Everyone watched its telemetry scroll across the screened distance, temperature, motion, field readings, until, abruptly, everything went dead. Lost contact, Vega said quietly. It just vanished. No explosion, no interference, just gone. Mara exhaled through her teeth. That's comforting. Juno stood, crossing to the viewport. The black ship remained motionless. It didn't look menacing, exactly. Just wrong. Like a hole punched through reality. Captain, said Vega. I'm picking up something. Low frequency. Could be a transmission? Put it through. The sound that filled the bridge was not a voice. It was a whispering hum, like static heard through a dream, and beneath it a pattern. A rhythm. Almost like breathing. The crew shifted uneasily. Mara muttered, that's no distress call. Record it and isolate the source, Juno ordered. If that thing's trying to talk, I want to know what it's saying. It took nearly an hour for Vega to clean the signal. When she finally played it back, the whisper resolved into something like language. Harsh consonants, low drones. It wasn't human, but it carried intent. The cadence made Juno's skin crawl. Translate algorithm, she asked. Running, no direct match, Vega said. Closest patterns suggest ancient Terran dialects. Old. Pre-spaceflight. Mara blinked. You're saying that alien whispers using ancient human phonemes? Something like that. The air thickened again. Juno folded her arms, staring out at the derelict. Helm, hold position. Vega, keep recording. Mara, prep an away team. We're going aboard. The Kestrel's airlock opened with a hiss of pressure equalization. The away team, Juno, Mara, Vega, and security officer Tarek floated through the void toward the derelict, tethered by thin umbilicals. Their suit lights cut thin lines through the dark, halos of white against an ocean of black. As they neared the ship, their beams slid over its surface. The material wasn't metal, not quite. It rippled faintly beneath their lights, like skin responding to touch. "Captain," Vega whispered. "I think it's moving." Juno narrowed her eyes. "Steady. Find an entry point." "There," said Tarek, pointing. A fissure had opened in the hull, silent and smooth, as if the ship had anticipated them. Inside was nothing but darkness. "Convenient," Mara muttered. "Or a trap." Juno checked her suit feed. Sensors show atmosphere inside. Oxygen and nitrogen thin, but breathable. "That's impossible," Vega said. "We scanned zero life signs." Juno gave a wry smile. "Guess the ship's full of surprises." They drifted inside. The interior was like stepping into a cathedral built by something that had never seen light. The walls curved in strange, organic shapes. No visible seams, no machinery. Just surfaces that shimmered faintly with iridescent hues. Their footsteps made no sound. Mara reached out and touched a wall. It pulsed faintly beneath her glove. "It's alive." Before Juno could respond, the fissure behind them sealed shut. Vega cursed. "We're sealed in." "Stay calm," Juno said, forcing her voice steady. "Find another exit." They moved deeper into the structure, the corridors twisting in nonsensical ways, leading them through chambers that seemed to shift as they looked. Occasionally, their suit cams flickered, as though the ship interfered with their feeds. "Captain," said Vega after a while. "I think the ship's reacting to us. Its structure's changing, following our movement." "Like it's watching," Mara murmured. They entered a large chamber, circular, its walls covered in patterns that looked almost like writing. At the center hovered a black sphere, faintly luminescent, humming with the same rhythm as the earlier transmission. "That's our source," Vega said. "It's emitting the same frequency." Juno approached slowly. "What are you?" she whispered. The sphere pulsed once, and the hum deepened. Words, human words, flickered in their comms. "We remember." Juno froze. "Did anyone else?" All four confirmed they heard it. Mara's voice was tight. "Remember what?" The sphere shimmered. "The black between stars. The silence that made you." Juno's skin prickled. "This isn't an AI. It's consciousness. Maybe even collective memory." Before she could say more, the sphere flared, blinding white, and then darkness. When Juno came to, she was back aboard the Kestrel. The away team lay unconscious around her. The comms were dead. Outside, the black ship was gone. For a long moment, she just sat there, breathing, feeling the cold sweat inside her suit. Then Vega stirred, blinking. "Captain, what happened?" "I don't know," Juno said. "But check this out." She held up her wrist console. The screen flickered with unfamiliar symbols, ones that looked eerily like the writing from inside the ship. Mara groaned. "Please tell me we didn't bring something back." Juno didn't answer. She looked out at the empty void where the derelict had been. It wasn't just gone. The stars around that space were missing. As though the darkness itself had taken them. The hum of the Kestrel returned, steady and low, but something had changed. The sound wasn't quite right. And when Juno listened closely, she could almost hear it whispering her name. She smiled faintly, a chill running through her. "Well," she said quietly, "I guess we've made first contact." The hum was no longer just a sound, it was a presence. Captain Juno Hall sat in the dimly lit medbay, her head throbbing as the low vibration rippled through the hull. It had been 3 hours since the black ship vanished, taking a piece of the sky with it. 3 hours since she woke up with alien symbols crawling across her wrist display. 3 hours since everything stopped making sense. "Captain, you're not going to like this," said Mara, standing by the main diagnostic console. "Whatever energy field hit us, it fried half our core systems. Nav's out, comms are shot, and the jump drive's locked in a loop. It's like something's rewriting the ship's software. Juno rubbed her temples. Rewriting, or hijacking? Mara grimaced. Hard to tell. But the code, it looks like those markings on your wrist. Vega entered, still pale from the incident. Captain, you should see this. She handed over a data pad. The display showed the Kestrel's trajectory, or rather, its lack of one. The ship wasn't drifting, it was moving with intent. We're being pulled off course. I tried manual override. The ship ignored it. Juno leaned forward. Ignored. As in our own systems overruled the command. It's like the ship's got new orders we didn't give it. Tarek, the security officer, crossed his arms. So, what you're saying we're being remote-controlled? Mara shook her head. No signal input. No external force. Whatever's guiding us, it's inside. A chill crept down Juno's spine. The humming deepened, resonating through the deck plates like a heartbeat. Bridge, she ordered. Now. When they reached the bridge, the forward display was filled with a strange shimmer like the stars themselves were bending, twisting into a vortex of fractured light. The Kestrel was heading straight for it. Is that a wormhole? Vega asked. Mara frowned. It's not on any map. Doesn't even behave like a wormhole. Gravitational readings are fluctuating, and the event horizon's cold. Cold? Juno repeated. That's impossible. Yeah, Mara said grimly. That's what worries me. Juno studied the distortion ahead. The dark ship's disappearance. The hum. The symbols. Everything pointed toward this anomaly. We didn't find it, she said softly. It found us. The lights flickered. The ship trembled, then settled. Something just accessed main power, Vega said, typing furiously. It's pulling from reserve, thrust vectoring engaged. The Kestrel surged forward, engines screaming. The vortex filled the screen, a whirl of impossible geometry. Juno gripped the armrest. Brace for. They plunged through. The universe tore open. For a heartbeat, everything was light, sound, and pressure like being crushed by a god's hand. Then, silence. When vision returned, the stars were wrong. Every constellation had shifted. The gas giant was gone. The readings said they were still in known space, but thousands of light-years off course. What the hell just happened? Tarek muttered. Vega's voice trembled. Captain. I think we just jumped without a drive. Juno stared at the dead console. Mara, get me something, anything, that tells me we can get home. I'd love to, but, Mara hesitated. Captain, there's something else. The ship's sensors picked up a signal. Same frequency as the derelict. Direction? Mara pointed at the screen. A faint signature pulsed on the far edge of the system. Not one, but 3 black ships. All identical. All moving in perfect formation. The hum became a chorus. The Kestrel's lights dimmed again, cycling between power surges and blackout. Systems rebooted themselves without command input. Juno tried to regain manual control, but every override failed. Bridge to engineering, she called. Mara, what's going on? Working on it, Captain, came Mara's voice through the comm. The main computer's rewriting its base code. It's like it's learning. I can't even isolate the intrusion anymore, it's fused with the ship's architecture. So the ship's alive now? Tarek asked flatly. Feels like it, Vega said. And if that's true, it's scared or angry. Juno's gaze drifted to her wrist console. The alien symbols pulsed in rhythm with the hum. A sudden spike of static burst through her earpiece, followed by a voice, not human, not mechanical, but somewhere between. We remember. Juno froze. That's the same message from the derelict. The voice continued, fragmented. We awoke, we see through you, we seek return. Return where? She murmured. But the voice faded, leaving only the hum. An hour later, the Kestrel dropped into orbit around a dark, uncharted planet. The 3 black ships were already there, hovering above the surface like sentinels. Captain, Vega said. They're transmitting again. Audio only, Juno said. The same whispering pattern filled the bridge, but now it was structured, deliberate. The ship's translator struggled, then rendered a crude approximation of words. Anchor, breach, remember origin. Mara stared. Anchor. Are they talking about the wormhole? Or us? Juno said quietly. Maybe we're the anchor. Captain, Tarek said, pointing. One of the ships is powering up weapons. Juno's blood ran cold. Shields up. Trying. But the system's still. A beam of black light lanced through space, hitting the Kestrel broadside. The ship shuddered, lights flaring out. Panels sparked, alarms screamed. Damage report. Juno barked. Port shields offline. Hull integrity at 80%. Vega shouted. Mara, reroute power from the secondary grid. I'm trying, but it's like the ship's fighting me. The hum crescendoed into a roar. The alien symbols on Juno's wrist glowed so bright they burned through her sleeve. Then, the black beam stopped. The attacking ship turned, drifting toward the planet. The others followed. Why did they stop? Tarek asked. Juno shook her head. Because they got what they wanted. On the planet below, the ground split open. A column of darkness rose into the sky, writhing like smoke. The Kestrel's sensors struggled to process it, describing it only as mass displacement anomaly. Vega stared at the readings. Captain, that's not a weapon. It's a signal. Juno watched the black column reach higher, pulsing in time with the hum inside their ship. They're calling something. Mara stumbled onto the bridge, hands smudged with soot. Engineering's barely holding together. Whatever's in our systems, it's spreading. I think it's replicating itself through the ship's neural network. Meaning? Juno asked. Meaning it's building something. Inside us. The hum changed pitch again, higher, resonant, almost harmonic. The deck vibrated under their boots. On the display, the black column on the planet began to distort the atmosphere around it. Lightning danced across the surface. Vega whispered, Captain, what if that thing they're calling is the ship we found? The first one? Or worse, Mara said. What if it's something bigger? The voice returned, clearer this time, filling every speaker across the bridge. You are the bridge. The gate must open. Then every console on the Kestrel went black. 4-5 heartbeats, there was only darkness and the sound of their breathing. Then, the ship lit up not with electrical light, but with the same faint glow as the derelict's interior. The walls shimmered like living skin. Vega gasped. The Kestrel, it's transforming. Mara stared, speechless. That's not transformation. That's assimilation. Captain, Tarek said quietly. We're becoming one of them. Juno felt the deck pulse underfoot, matching the beat of her own heart. Her wrist display flared again, symbols rearranging themselves into new patterns. She didn't understand the language, but somehow, she knew what it said. Choose. She looked up at the crew. It's giving me a choice. Between what and what? Mara asked. Juno hesitated. Between letting it complete whatever this is, or fighting it. But if we fight, we could lose the ship. Or worse. The hum deepened again, pressing against their ears, their skulls, their thoughts. The black ships outside shifted formation, encircling the Kestrel. Their hulls pulsed with the same alien light. Juno exhaled slowly. Prepare containment protocols. If this thing wants to merge, it's going to have to earn it. The bridge darkened once more. The hum grew deafening, and in that sound was something almost human, a plea, or perhaps a warning. Then the planet below cracked open. The crack in the planet's surface widened like an eye-opening. Jagged lines of light spread across the crust, glowing with that same black radiance that wasn't light at all but absence given form. The Kestrel hung above it, trembling as if the void itself were reaching up to drag it under. The crew stared, transfixed, as the impossible unfolded below them. Captain, Vega whispered. There's something coming out. From the wound in the planet's surface, a shape began to rise, colossal, shifting, its outline fracturing reality around it. It wasn't a ship, or a creature, but something between both. A structure built from the same darkness as the derelict, its surface rippling in the rhythm of the hum that now consumed the Kestrel's hull. Mara's voice shook. It's copying us. Look, its design is mimicking the Kestrel. Juno's eyes narrowed. Not copying. Consuming. The alien voice spoke again, reverberating through every speaker, every surface. You are the gate. The black remembers. The silence returns. Captain, Tarek said, scanning frantically. Power spikes across all systems, core temperature rising. If it keeps going, we'll breach containment. Juno gritted her teeth. Mara, isolate the fusion core and route control to manual. Vega, open a channel to those ships, any language, any signal. They're not responding, Vega said, voice tight. They're just watching. The 3 black ships hovered motionless in the void, forming a triangle around the kestrel. Beams of shadow connected them, pulsing with dark light. The energy readings climbed off the charts. Juno's wrist console pulsed again, symbols rearranging. She didn't understand the language, but the message was clear in her mind: accept or perish. Her chest tightened. We're not dying here, she muttered. Mara, give me options. I can try a hard reboot of the AI core. If I isolate it, maybe we can purge whatever code this thing injected. And if that fails? Mara's eyes flicked to the viewport, where the massive black construct was rising fully from the planet's crust. Then we either merge with it, or we melt. They split up. Mara sprinted for engineering with Tarek on her heels. Vega stayed at the helm, trying to stabilize their orbit as gravitational anomalies tugged at the ship. The deck shook violently as tendrils of energy lashed from the construct below, touching the kestrel's hull. Every contact sent ripples of distortion through the metal. Captain, Vega called out, the ship's responding to the energy signatures, it's absorbing them. Juno felt the vibration through her boots, pulsing in sync with her heartbeat. Absorbing or surrendering, she murmured. The hum deepened again, turning into something close to song. A chorus of frequencies intertwined, echoing through the ship like a living thing calling home. Mara's voice came through the comm cores locked. I'm initiating manual isolation in 10 seconds. Do it. Captain, Vega said suddenly, you need to see this. The main view screen flickered and then displayed an image, not of space, but of faces. Human faces. Old, weathered, flickering in static. Juno's breath caught. What is that? Vega's voice shook. It's pulling data from the ship's archives, and from our neural logs. Captain, those are us. The images shifted: Juno at the academy, Mara as a cadet, Vega as a child. Then they dissolved, replaced by alien figures, tall and angular, their features fluid, their eyes like black suns. The alien voice spoke again. You were not first. You are what we became. Captain, Mara's voice crackled, the Ares resisting the reboot. It's defending itself. Keep trying. Juno shouted, gripping the console as the deck trembled again. Captain, Vega screamed. The core's going critical. The ship convulsed. Light and shadow exploded through the bridge. Juno was thrown to the floor, vision fracturing into shards of reality. The hum turned into a scream, a single note stretched across dimensions. Then, silence. Juno opened her eyes. She wasn't on the bridge anymore. She stood in a vast expanse of black glass, stretching infinitely in all directions. The hum was gone. Instead, there was a heartbeat, slow, deep, steady. Captain. It was Vega's voice, faint but close. Juno turned. Vega and Mara stood nearby, disoriented, suits flickering with light. Tarek was nowhere to be seen. Where the hell are we? Mara whispered. Juno looked around. Inside. Inside what? The ship, Juno said softly. Or what's left of it. The black surface rippled, and a figure emerged, a tall, humanoid shape made of shadow and light. Its voice resonated through them. You opened the path. The silence remembers. Mara stepped forward. We didn't open anything. You dragged us here. The entity tilted its head. You called. Your kind always calls. You reach into the dark and name it progress. Juno took a breath. You're the ship. The first one. We were. Now we are many. The figure extended a hand, and countless shapes rose from the darkness, echoes of ships, fragments of minds, all merged into a vast network. You fractured the silence once. We offered memory. You turned it to war. Vega shook her head. We don't even know you. You forgot. But we remember. The entity stepped closer. The black between stars made you. The silence carried you. You came back. The surface below them pulsed, showing flashes, ancient human vessels drifting in deep space, discovering dark artifacts, merging with alien technology. Then war. Fire. Silence. Mara whispered, "This isn't first contact. This is reunion." Juno felt her pulse quicken. Why us? Because you still listen. The entity's voice changed, softer, almost human. The gate must open. The black must breathe again. And if we refuse? Juno asked. Then everything ends. The world shattered again. Juno gasped awake in her command chair, alarms blaring. The Kestrel was on fire, literally and figuratively. Sparks flew from consoles. Mara screamed over the comm, "Reactor breach in 60 seconds. Vega, status." Juno shouted. "Shields collapsing. We're caught in the gravity well." Juno's wrist console pulsed again. "Choose." She understood now. The entity wasn't asking for consent, it was offering consequence. Either merge and survive as something else, or burn trying to remain human. "Mara," she said, voice low but steady. "Can you channel the reactor output through the communication array?" Mara hesitated. "Yeah, but it'll fry every system we have." "You planning to talk or detonate?" "Both." Vega turned. "Captain." Juno cut her off. "If that thing wants a gate, we'll give it one it can't control." "Mara, do it." Mara's hands flew over the controls. 30 seconds to overload. The black ships outside reacted immediately, moving closer, their hulls glowing. The hum reached a fever pitch. The construct below opened like a flower of darkness. Juno stood, eyes locked on the void. For the record, she muttered, this was supposed to be a boring survey mission. Vega managed a faint laugh through the chaos. "You always said you hated boring." 15 seconds. The lights on the Kestrel flickered. Shadows moved through the corridors like living things. The alien voice screamed, not in anger, but in desperation. "You cannot unmake what you are," it cried. "Watch me," Juno whispered. She slammed her hand down on the console. The reactor went critical. Energy surged through the Kestrel, through the comm array, through the alien infection itself. The hum shattered into static as the black ships convulsed, their forms distorting. Then the world went white. Juno floated in silence. No light, no sound, just the faint echo of her own breath. Slowly, a glow formed before her, a distant sun, faint and unfamiliar. She turned. The Kestrel was there, scarred but whole, drifting amid debris that looked like fragments of the black ships. "Captain." Vega's voice crackled through her comm, "We're alive." Juno exhaled shakily. "Barely." Mara coughed. "Reactors offline. No power, no nav. But we're still here." Juno looked out at the wreckage. The black structures were dissolving, turning to dust that shimmered briefly before fading completely. And then, silence. True silence. No hum. Vega spoke softly. "What did we do?" Juno stared into the void where the black planet had been. "We broke the gate." But even as she said it, her wrist console flickered once more. One final line of alien script appeared before fading. "We remember." And deep inside the Kestrel's hull, somewhere in the silence between systems, the hum began again, so faint it could be mistaken for nothing at all. The silence that followed was not empty, it was healing. For the first time since the black ship had appeared, the universe felt still. Captain Juno Hall sat alone on the Kestrel's bridge, a faint glow from the distant star brushing against the cracked viewport. Systems were dark, life support running on emergency reserves. The hum was gone, replaced by the quiet breath of machinery too tired to die. Vega entered quietly, a thermal blanket draped over her shoulders. "Still no signal from command," she said. "Or anyone. We might be the only ones left in range." Juno nodded. "Maybe that's for the best." Mara joined them, limping slightly, her hands stained with coolant. "Reactors stable enough for basic systems." We can't jump, but we can move slowly. Juno looked out the viewport, watching the last traces of the black dust fade into starlight. I keep thinking about what it said. We remember. What if it wasn't a threat? What if it was a warning? Mara shrugged. Hard to tell with things that think in centuries. Or across species. Vega settled into the co-pilot seat. You think we ended it? Juno shook her head. No. We just stopped it from becoming something worse. Maybe that's enough. For a while, none of them spoke. The stars drifted by, and the damaged ship moved with the patience of something ancient and weary. Days passed. Repairs were slow, food was rationed, and silence became their companion. But something about the quiet felt different now. The crew no longer flinched at it. They'd seen what true silence could be, alive, watching, waiting. This was gentler. Mara found a way to patch limited communications through the navigation array. Still no known relay nodes nearby, she reported. Closest system is a month's drift at sublight. But the path is clear. Then we go, Juno said simply. They set a slow course toward that fragile dot of light on the chart. The Kestrel creaked and groaned but held together. Against all odds, she always did. Vega worked quietly at her station, rerouting circuits. After a while, she said, Captain, when the black ships were speaking through the systems, I think they were trying to show us something. Not destruction, connection. They wanted to merge, but not just physically. It was like, they wanted us to remember what we forgot. Juno tilted her head. You mean humanity? Vega nodded. We went so far out into the stars, chasing power, control, knowledge, and maybe somewhere along the way, we lost the point. They weren't trying to erase us. They were showing us the cost of forgetting where we came from. Mara gave a low hum. You're getting philosophical on me, Lieutenant. Guess space does that to a person, Vega said, smiling faintly. Juno leaned back in her chair. Maybe that's the moral of it. Curiosity isn't the enemy, but arrogance is. We keep reaching into the dark, assuming it's ours to command. But the dark has a memory of its own. They sat with that thought, the kind that settled deep in the bones. Outside, the last of the void storm shimmered and vanished, leaving the clean, cold canvas of space. On the fourth day, something unexpected happened. A faint ping echoed through the comm array, a signal, weak but deliberate. Vega nearly fell out of her chair. Captain, we've got contact. Human frequency. Can you trace it? Working on it, it scrambled, maybe distorted by what's left of the anomaly, but yes. It's from the Perseus outpost. They're alive. Mara's eyebrows shot up. That's impossible. The Perseus line was wiped out years ago. Apparently not all of it, Vega said with a grin. Juno's lips twitched into something like hope. Send a response. Tell them we're survivors of the Kestrel, requesting rendezvous. The static cleared just enough to let a voice through, a man's voice, tired but warm. This is Commander Lian of the Perseus outpost. We've been monitoring your position. Looks like you went through hell, Kestrel. Welcome back. For a long moment, no one spoke. The sound of another human voice felt unreal. Thank you, Commander, Juno said finally. We'll be home soon. The journey took weeks. The Kestrel limped across the black, every hour a small act of defiance. The crew fixed what they could, jerry-rigged what they couldn't, and learned to live with the scars of what had happened. The hum never returned, not fully, but sometimes, when the ship was quiet, Juno thought she could hear a faint echo, steady and calm, like a heartbeat under the hull. It didn't feel menacing anymore. It felt familiar. When they finally reached Perseus outpost, the station's lights were like stars of their own, warm, welcoming, human. As the docking clamps locked into place, Juno felt something in her chest loosen. She hadn't realized how tightly she'd been holding on. Mara laughed softly. Didn't think we'd see another port again. Neither did I, Juno said. Vega's eyes shone. Think anyone's going to believe what happened? Juno smiled faintly. They'll call it myth, like everything we can't explain. Maybe that's fine. Not every story needs proof. In the weeks that followed, the Kestrel was decommissioned, her data logs encrypted and archived under restricted classification. The official report called it a gravitational anomaly and a near-catastrophic systems failure. But Juno knew better. So did her crew. Sometimes, late at night, she'd look out from the station's observatory window. The stars looked the same, but she didn't. None of them did. Vega once asked her if she missed the hum. Juno thought for a while before answering. No. But I respect it. Whatever it was, it reminded us that space isn't empty. It's listening. Mara smirked. Then maybe we should start listening back. Juno nodded. Yeah. But next time, let's knock before we enter. They laughed, a real, full laugh that filled the sterile station with warmth. As she left the observatory that night, Juno glanced at her wrist console one last time. The alien symbols that had once burned bright were now faint, fading into static. Just before the light disappeared completely, one phrase shimmered across the display. The silence remembers kindness too. Juno smiled. Good. Then maybe we're even. She turned away from the window, leaving the stars to their quiet. Behind her, the hum of the outpost thrummed softly, a human sound, fragile but alive. And in the black between the stars, where the echoes of the forgotten still drifted, something vast and unseen stirred once more, not with hunger, but with recognition. Because even the dark remembers who listens. Moral: humanity's greatest strength has never been its conquest of the unknown, but its capacity to listen, to learn, adapt, and respect what it doesn't yet understand. In the silence of the cosmos, arrogance invites oblivion, but humility ensures survival.